So, what's the deal with the scandal of grace? Let's talk about it on mid-nite catechism. So, I am a net alum. I was a missionary, a Catholic missionary that went around the country and evangelized to youth. And as it happens, um, I am about to enter in and discern life as a monk, monastic life. And around right now is the time to recruit for next year's net missionaries that will happen in the next couple of weeks on the weekends. And I thought that this would be a nice chance for me to support that organization that was so far foundational in my discernment to take the next step to become or at least to start to discern the monastic life, as well as talk about my love of worship music and how the catechism can support that. I really believe that the catechism is this tool that Catholics have slept on and uh, don't really utilize, especially it's powerful in how to help with prayer. And that's the main goal of worship music. And what could be better than to be able to worship better is you can do that with the catechism. And so I had this conversation with another net alum about how there was someone that they knew that used the catechism for um, uh, to help to think about worship songs because Net Ministries is a very charismatic, um, is rooted in the charismatic renewal. And I thought once I got really on board with the catechism, I realized that this is exactly what I wanted and what I need to help me get um, the most out of my praise and worship experience. And I remember I read a paragraph in the catechism that immediately made me think about that Hillsong song, Scandal of Grace. The scandal of grace, you died in my place, so my soul will live. After the show might just be me to sing songs, which is fine by me. And the the song, the Hillsong, this Hillsong song of "Scandal of Grace" talks about this idea of a scandal, right? Too much to make sense of it all. I know that your love breaks my fall. Um, and then in the chorus, "Oh, to be like you, I give all I have just to know you. Jesus, there's no one beside you, forever the hope in my heart." So the question within the first question to ask is, what is the scandal of grace? Does what does this song mean about scandal of grace? And so the song answers that question with in right there in the first verse, "Grace, what have you done? Murdered for me on that cross, accused in absence of wrong, my sin washed away in your blood." So on a first glance, it seems that Hillsong, uh, Matt Crocker and Joel Houston would say that the scandal of grace was that Jesus, God Himself, allowed Himself to be murdered, to be crucified, right? And that's certainly historically accurate and theologically accurate. That God became man, and suffered the crucifixion, and subsequently um, was resurrected. Now, uh, with all of that in mind, I want to go to this website that digitized the whole catechism and made it searchable So what I want to do is just search for the word scandal, and the word scandal appears 13 times right there, but there's a specific providence and evil of scandal, a specific paragraph that I always think about that really put this song into perspective. Jesus gave scandal. This is paragraph 589. Um, Jesus gave scandal above all when he identified his merciful conduct towards sinners with God's own attitude toward them. What does that mean? He went so far as to hint that by sharing the table of sinners, he was admitting them to the messianic banquet. But it was most especially by forgiving sins that placed the religious authorities of Israel on the horns of a dilemma. Were they not entitled to demand in consternation, who can forgive sins but God alone? For God alone can forgive sins. By forgiving sins, Jesus either is blaspheming as a man who made himself God's equal, or is speaking the truth, and his person really does make present and reveal God's name. That's the scandal that we all have to deal with. We all have to ask ourselves what Jesus asked the disciples: who do you say that I am? Who do I say that Jesus is? Now, that's what the catechism and thereby the tradition of the Catholic Church says was the scandal that Jesus gave. Does that change or alter how we understand Hillsong? It definitely doesn't contradict anything that Hillsong sings about. But for me, when I read that paragraph in the Catechism, it made me think about how this scandal is the scandal that the song talks about, that Hillsong talks about, is merely the the result. It's the end piece of that scandal. The scandal that the Catechism talks about is that so Hillsong would say that the scandal is that Jesus died. He gave himself up. That God was murdered. He allowed himself to die. Right. The Catechism nuances that, gives it a different light, in that the scandal that Jesus gave was that he was God at all. What does that mean? And so this is really what I want this show to be about: is how does that translate to how you worship better? I think that when you pray the scandal of grace, it's certainly powerful to focus on the sacrifice that Jesus gave. And it's a sacrifice that um, he joins to our fallen humanity. And with the resurrection, we have hope of that resurrection as well. But now, when I pray and praise with the song "Scandal of Grace," I think about that idea of scandal, that Jesus would even consider that God even considered to be human at all. That the scandal of grace is whether or not I believe that Jesus came and became man, that he is human. And that's something that I have to decide whether or not, what's the difference between me and God, and uh, the Word made flesh. And it's all because of you, Jesus. It's all because of your love that my soul will live. Okay, So that was a big build up. I think that is that's really that really helps. I want to see if I can get one more song in um, before we finish this up. Um, okay, so I did this yesterday or a couple days ago, and it didn't work so well. So I decided I would just go straight to the source, and we decided uh, to look at Steadfast. Steadfast is actually a song written by a Net alum, and uh, right there. Steadfast is right here. No, don't do that. Right there. There we go. Cool. All right. So Steadfast by Mary Petrie. Oh, I always get the pronunciation mixed up. Okay, so this song sounds like to you I raise my eyes, to you enthroned in heaven. The world will fade away as I walk into your presence, and I will sing your praise. My heart is steadfast, Lord. My heart is steadfast, Lord. Uh, this idea of steadfastness, um, I think, is a good departure for research. What I do and how I use the catechism is, and how you could use the catechism is to do a simple search, which this search engine makes so much easier. Steadfast, steadfastness appears in the catechism 8 times. Quote from Exodus, steadfast love for thousands, also from Exodus, steadfast love, also from Exodus, steadfast love, Isaiah, Exodus. 89 is Hebrews. Steadfast love is Exodus. Okay, so clearly the phrase steadfast biblically derives from that scene in Exodus that paragraph 210 talks about. After Israel's sin, when the people had turned away from God to worship the golden calf, God hears Moses' prayer of intercession and agrees to walk in the midst of an unfaithful people, thus demonstrating his love. When Moses asks to see his glory, God responds, I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. When the Lord passes before Moses and proclaims, Yahweh, Yahweh, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness. Moses then confesses that the Lord is a forgiving God. That's the steadfastness that uh, that this calls to mind, and this because this song quotes a psalm. My heart is steadfast. Steadfast Psalm. Psalm 57. Psalm 57. 57. Just out of curiosity, you can search on this website anytime that the Catechism might have cited Psalm 57. Psalms are that good. But Psalm 57, my heart, O God, is steadfast. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and make music, is a line from the Psalms that the song recalls to mind. And um, so when we dig into the catechism and look into this idea of steadfastness, what does this mean for praise and worship on a practical level? For me, if I were, or when I this pray this song, I honestly, the way that I would play it on a guitar would be to strum, um, as a heartbeat. Um, Iambic pentameter is a style of poetry that Shakespeare is famous for. And there are a lot of reasons why he would choose iambic pentameter. But one way that I really like is that the reason why Shakespeare uses that meter, the way that the lines work in his plays, is because his plays are all about love. It's all about the extremes of love and loss. And iambic pentameter sounds like the beat of a heart. Da dun, da dun, da dun, da dun, da dun. And that's actually how I would perform this and strum the chorus on the guitar. I will sing your praise. I will sing your praise. My heart is steadfast. Jug up, jug up, jug up. My heart is steadfast. Jug up, jug up. My heart is steadfast, Lord. I will sing your praise. So, practically, the way that the catechism helps to worship with this song and enhance this song is to remind you of God's faithfulness and his steadfastness, even in the face of unfaithfulness. And it serves as a mirror that if you are to pray that your heart is steadfast, it's a reminder for me to ask myself, and it's an examination whether or not my heart is as steadfast as the Lord's, and which it most often is not. And in the praise and worship with this song, it offers an opportunity to humble myself in the presence of the Lord who is steadfast and ask for him and his grace to be able to be as steadfast as he is. And that looks like it's our time. I hope that this was useful, and hope to do this more often. See you next.